青春之声，跨越国界，共话未来。
Let us use the voice of youth.
Cross national borders and talk about the future together.
Hello, I'm Chen Zhongrui. Welcome to Global Youth Echo, a conversation program focusing on international youth. Here, you can hear young people from all over the world share their deep thoughts and brilliant moments in their respective fields. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, 小宇宙 Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And we welcome likes, subscriptions, shares, and donations. Join us in listening to the sound of the international youth wave breaking.
你好，要去哪儿？
你好，师傅，我要去中国传媒大学。
哎，外国姑娘，你这中文挺好啊。
是的，我是意大利人，我正在努力学习中文。
啊，哎，那个怎么说来着？你干得漂亮，就是做得不错。
Well done, well done,
well done。
对，
我学怎么样？
对 ，well done, well done。
So the little story we just heard presents an Italian girl studying Chinese hard in China and having an interesting conversation with a taxi driver. You might think this is a plot from some novel. No, this story comes from the real experiences of Italian girl Miriam. She integrates her love for Chinese into her life and continues to strive on the path of becoming an international cultural ambassador. And today, we are very honored to have her on the show. Welcome, Miriam.
Thank you so much.
Let's start our conversation with her and learn about her story. So, this year is Miriam's second year in China, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, in this year, you have grown rapidly in both language learning and understanding of Chinese culture.
Yeah.
So, tracing back to your beginning of connection with China, language may be a very crucial aspect. And after entering Communication University of China, new learning opportunities have given you a fresh perspective on China. So, Miriam, share it with us. Why did you choose to come to China to study?
So, I chose to come to China because I studied Chinese language and history during my bachelor's and master's degrees. Due to COVID-19, I didn't have the opportunity to experience Chinese society firsthand. So last year, I decided to apply for the Chinese government scholarship to study political science in Chinese. This is a very prestigious scholarship as every year only 10 students in Italy are selected to receive it. This program is a part of an agreement between our two countries, and I feel very grateful for this opportunity. I came to China not only to improve my Chinese language skills, which is also why I chose to study in Chinese, but also to deepen my understanding of Chinese people, their lifestyle, way of thinking, and their logic. Before coming to China, I promised myself that I would 入乡随俗. Maybe you can explain better this 成语, because I wanted to adapt to Chinese customs and try to live as Chinese do. I wanted to eat like Chinese, speak like Chinese, and I wanted to enjoy like you do, guys. So this is a personal challenge because I want to experiment with new ways of living my life in order to grow and improve. Yeah.
So Miriam mentioned Chinese 成语入乡随俗. It means when in Rome, do as Romans do. So when in China, do as Chinese people do.
Yeah, I'm trying.
So nowadays, Chinese has become one of the popular languages globally. And what do you think is the most difficult part of learning Chinese?
I believe that different stages of learning a language come with different challenges. For Chinese, I think that the hardest part at the beginning is writing, because you need to learn Chinese characters, right? Because you need them to build the foundation for your skills. The second challenge is listening. as it takes time to get accustomed to the tones. And for me, after 6 years studying Chinese, the most difficult aspect now is writing, because I have to write in an academic style. Since I am currently pursuing research, I have to use formal language, which is quite challenging. So I think that when you learn a language, you have to know what is your goal. And so according to your goal, you can settle your daily tasks. So yeah, that's
Right. Could you share with us about your daily task? I mean, facing all these difficulties, what are you doing to keep you up with the lessons and and to achieve the goal that you were setting for yourself?
And now, for this stage of my learning Chinese process, every day I read Chinese articles because I have to improve my reading skills. And if I can improve this part, I would be also able to write Chinese articles. So my daily task for now is to read at least 1 or 2 Chinese articles and then try to summarize them in Chinese. So this is my daily task. It's a bit hard because when I write I still have some words that are not so formal, so I have to improve my vocabulary for the academic part. Yeah.
So many of my foreign friends from other parts of the world told me that Chinese is very difficult to study, like you said. So facing these difficulties, what's your special motivation that kept you move forward all the time?
To maintain my motivation, I try to incorporate Chinese into everything I enjoy in my daily life. So, for example, I like singing. I learn Chinese songs, and I try to remember me how much it's beautiful to use this language in the things that I do, not only because I'm here in China, but I do because they are my hobbies. So it doesn't matter if I'm in China or in Italy, I do some things because I like them, right? So I try to incorporate the Chinese in those things. Or for example, when my mood is not so good and I just go out and I go to the supermarket and try to speak with Ai and speak with everyone. I can feel that they have time to speak with me. Of course, I'm mindful not to bother them because I know that time is money, right? So I have to respect them. But at the same time, I like speaking with people. So I remember that I have to use this language to do things that I enjoy. So that's how I can keep my motivation on.
Yes, I can see you love to talk with different people. And so in the sketch we just performed earlier, I heard that you often chat with taxi drivers to practice your spoken Chinese. Did anything interesting happen that time?
Yeah. Yeah, this story began last year when I first arrived in China and didn't have any Chinese friends. So during my first month in Beijing, I often took taxis everywhere because I could talk with taxi drivers who are usually very open to sharing stories about their life. So through these conversations, I learned a lot about Chinese society, from challenges in finding job to the new trends of divorce. So one of the most memorable experiences was with a young taxi driver. We became friends to the extent that whenever I return from a trip, he picks me up at the airport. So of course I still have to pay him because it's his job. But I feel happy because it's like having someone waiting for you when you come back. Every time he also gives me some small snacks or water. So I think it's good to have someone waiting for you when you come back from a trip, right?
Right. So apart from practicing spoken language, you also engage in reading Chinese books. Are there any books you're currently reading?
Yeah, I'm currently reading the Communist Manifesto by Marx because it's part of my exams. But normally I enjoy reading books about history or law. And every day I read international articles and news in both Chinese and English to improve my language skills. in both. Maybe I should probably start reading again some Italian articles. Otherwise, I will forget it. Yeah.
So, speaking of reading, ebooks have become a trend for reading. Do you prefer paper books or ebooks? Do they make a difference for you?
I prefer reading paper books because it is easy for me to write and draw. And yes, for me, I feel that medium makes a big difference. It is more about the way I enjoy what I read. Maybe because for my entire life I read paper books, so it is more about my habits. I am used to reading paper books. I think it would have been different if I was born in a society where there are only ebooks, or at least there are already ebooks. I really believe that the environment can shape people's habits and hobbies. Yeah.
So learning Chinese is not just about improving language skills, right? But also about deeply understanding Chinese culture. During your learning process, which cultural phenomena or traditions did you find particularly fascinating or maybe confusing?
Yeah, I find Chenyu particularly fascinating because they carry deep meanings and often encapsulate valuable stories that summarize important lessons that we can learn and apply in daily life. But of course, for me, our Chenyu are very difficult to use in daily life because it's like I can understand them, I know the meanings, but I forget to use them. So maybe can you share with us some Chenyu, maybe one Chenyu that you really like that I should learn?
Actually, I found you were pretty good at Chengyu as well, because like 入乡随俗.
Or maybe you can explain me 开阔眼界.
开阔眼界.
Yes, what is the meaning of this?
Okay. It's actually, I don't think it counts for a 成语.
Okay,
It's
look.
just a 词语 for characters. It means broaden your vision.
Okay.
开阔 means broaden. 眼界 means your vision.
Okay.
Your vision to the world.
Look, I'm still confused about Chenyu.
You've been studying Mandarin very hard. And I can tell that you are pretty good at tones.
Yeah, but it's so hard. And I know that in China you have different dialects, and different dialects have different tones, right?
Yeah. And before dialect, could you share your experience learning Mandarin tones with our foreign listeners? Because I understand that tone can be pretty, unique in Chinese.
Okay, so when I started learning Chinese, the tones were very hard because I actually didn't understand how to use the tones to speak. So, for example, the first one of the first character that we learned was ma. So the teacher was teaching us ma, ma, ma. Ma. So,
Yes.
yeah, and then we had to remember the meaning of the words according to these tones. So for me, it was like, do they really speak like this? Do they really use them? Like I was like, no, I will not learn them because maybe they don't use them.
Tell our listeners what do ma means.
Oh, wait. Okay. Ma is mom, mother, right?
Yeah.
Ma, horse. Ma.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the other two I don't remember. I forgot. What does it mean? Ma.
Ma means it say some bad words to me.
Oh, okay. Like okay. And ma?
Ma, let's say it's a kind of feelings. It's usually in your mouth when you eat some kind of pepper.
Okay.
It makes you a little bit dumb, a little bit.
Okay.
You can feel like needles pull.
Okay. Okay, so it's like that. I want to share with you also another thing because when I started studying Chinese, it was because I saw a video on YouTube of a professor who was explaining what is the meaning of the word 好.
好.
Yes. So, for example, if you have to use English to explain how? How would you say? What does it mean how? It is.
So the most universal meaning is good.
Yes, okay. So if you have to explain to a child what does good mean, what would you say to the child?
What does the English word good mean?
Yeah. Like, for example, for me, I would say to the child, like, okay, it's something that doesn't hurt you. So maybe I will make a comparison with what is the opposite meaning of this word, right? But with Chinese is different, right? Because, for example, that's why I really love the characters, because when you see the character, you can maybe you can explain it better. You can see like a woman and a child, right?
Yes.
Like to say the biggest love, the good is represented by the love between a mom and her child. So this is one of the most fascinating thing, I think, not just for me, but for a lot of students, international students who study Chinese, because your language, Chinese language, will directly show you, of course, if you can remember the meaning and if you can read it, but it will directly show you the meaning. So that's very powerful. That's why I really love Chinese, because it's also very practical, because if you can understand what is the meaning of that word, it's very fast. You can understand in a faster way what it is. But at the same time, we know that Chinese language is so complex, and also the development of the Chinese language had different stages. So maybe one character before had one meaning, and today it has another meaning, right?
Yeah, and even one character can have lots of meanings at the same time.
Yeah.
Based on different context and situation.
Yeah, that's why it's so hard to study Chinese. Look. Yeah.
So let's talk about dialect.
Oh.
You know, we were talking about Mandarin. That's the standard Chinese we usually speak. But there are also many dialects in China. In different areas, dialect can be so different. Sometimes even, I mean, sound like a different language, but they all share the same writing system. So it is the same language in different dialect. How do you see the dialect in China?
It's so complex, because when I travel around China, I always use 普通话. I use Mandarin Chinese, because this is the Chinese that you people here speak, right? This is the official language. But of course, in different provinces, people have their dialects. And when I go, for example, to Sichuan province, there are some words that I can't understand. So, for example, when I went to Chengdu and I was in the supermarket, I had to buy some water, and so the woman said, like, you have to pay 40块. I was not understanding how much is that. Is 4 yuan or is 40? So because there are differences. So, but this is the beauty of the differences of the places of the provinces here in China, and I think that through dialect you can also understand the complexity and the diversity of this country. Because, for example, I also know that in China you have 56 minorities, ethnic groups,
right.
And this is amazing, because sometimes we
actually 55 minority ethnic groups, and the 56th is Han, is the majority ethnic group.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's amazing, because usually we don't know that maybe China has such a big diversity of ethnic groups. And when I went to Yunnan, and I saw that just Yunnan has 22 ethnic groups.
Yes.
And I read the history, and I also saw that they have in the past, and they had their own written language. that's amazing because you can understand the inclusivity also of China, because I think that China is very inclusive for different ethnic groups to express themselves and to follow their habits, their culture. So I think that this is something that, I was reading on the books when I was in Italy in my university studying Chinese culture. But when you come here and you see the people doing this thing, it's so magical. Yeah.
It's a pity I don't know how to speak the language of minority ethnic group. But since you have been talking about Sichuan dialect,
You can.
let
me hear
yes,
something.
I'm going to teach you a very famous Sichuan dialect.
Let me hear.
It's called 四川有座山，叫老子数到三。
I know it's so hard for me, really. But you also told me that it has some differences with Chongqing, right?
Yes, it literally means there is a mountain which is called I'm counting to 3. So you may be confused. It doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
Because mountain, shan, in Sichuan dialect is san.
San.
And 3, san, in Sichuan dialect is san as well. They share the similar pronunciation. And the parents, especially fathers in Sichuan, let's say in China, would be educating their children when they're being naughty by saying that I am counting to 3. So stop what you were doing before 3. That is called 我数到3. I'm counting to 3.
Okay.
And when fathers are being angry, they might use 老子 to call themselves. 老子 means I.
Okay.
Yeah. So 老子数到3 means I'm counting to 3.
Oh.
So 四川有座山. There's a mountain in Sichuan. 老子叫老子数到3. It's called I'm counting to 3. That's a pretty interesting one. And you talked about the difference between Sichuan dialect and Chongqing dialect. Chongqing is pretty close to Sichuan province, but the dialect can be a little bit different with the pronunciation. Let's say the same sentence. In Sichuan dialect, it's 四川有座山，叫老子数到3. But in Chongqing dialect, it can be 四川有座山，叫老子数到3. It can be quicker.
Okay, yeah, and I can feel the difference. But maybe if I go there, I will not understand anything.
It can be pretty hard to understand some of the dialect in China, but later you will get used to it. Yes.
Okay, maybe I will go next year spending 2 months in Sichuan and try to understand.